So very happy to announce another round of panels. I don't see anyone or anything anymore. Yeah, you're in the gates already. We are a bit short on time, so I keep it brief. Please come up stage. Big round of applause for our last panel, I think. And you're about to have survived the second day of conference, so please come here. And a big round of applause for our panelists, please. So one of you can have this second one.
Okay. Wonderful good afternoon, everyone. This is the most amazing stage I think we all could have been stuck in on a Friday afternoon after 1.5 days of mind-blowing contributions, mind-expanding talks, and hopefully beautiful connections that you've all made with each other. So welcome to our panel about the creation of the Metaverse. And I have the honor to introduce our wonderful 4 panelists. First, to the right, Dr. Annette Doms. She's the founder of X Circle, a published author, keynote speaker, very well-known leading voice in the space of digital art and metaverse, known for cutting-edge technology. Her passion, and you will hear about it, is about technologies that support the adoption of the metaverse. Next to her, we have Sara from Portugal. Sara is a marketing executive at Impossible Cloud Networks. She has extensive experience navigating Web3 from a strategic marketing perspective. She's an award-winning Forbes 30 Under 30, known for her work in shaping decentralized technologies. And then, to our 2 men. First, Anton. Anton is the founder of Galaxy 4 Games and a co-founder of Whimsy Games. He is a GameFi pioneer, and he has 2 decades of game development under his belt, coming to visit us from Spain. And then last but not least, Tung, a very seasoned entrepreneur from the gaming space. He's the CEO and founder of Vista Digital and Couture Runway. And he has exited already 2 companies. The former CEO of Spill Games, Area Games, and Pro7 Sat.1 Gaming. He brings a vast expertise into this round from the gaming industry. Then myself, my name is Yip. I'm the CEO and founder of Jedi. We build peace technologies using AI to make peace more profitable than war. Okay, let's get ready. Annette, you are an expert in digital art and digital art history. You have witnessed the evolution from the early virtual... Okay, I have to get back, one stage back. So you have witnessed actually the evolution of the virtual worlds and the evolution of the metaverse. Maybe you could share with us how you define the metaverse and how basically it came to life from your perspective.
Yeah, good question. So where to start and where to end with the metaverse, right? So if we are talking about the concept of the metaverse, it already started in the 80s in the last century. So in literature with Web of Angels in 1980, then in movies like Tron, 92, and then also in 95 in life, in real life, and also with Second Life in 2003, right? And when we talk about the term of the metaverse, so it started in 1992 with the really awesome novel Snow Crash by Neil Stephenson. And of course, then we all know that in 2021 with Facebook and the change to Meta. But at the end, so Facebook is not the metaverse, right? And yeah, so if we really think, there's no clear definition about the metaverse right now. And if you want to hear my version of the metaverse, so I need your help. Yeah, so please maybe change your eyes, close your eyes for a minute, all of us, yeah, and think about the internet in a universe, yeah. Think about worlds, big worlds and small worlds called Fortnite, Roblox, Decentraland, and so on. And yeah, fly like a bird inside one of these worlds and enjoy limitless space, and there is no limit in time as well and no limit in fantasy. And you will realize that you will meet other people there, right? Friends, colleagues, strangers. And imagine a world that where you can talk, where you can discuss, where you can work, where you can travel, where you can do anything what you like, where you can also consume. And yeah, a world where you can create without limits. And yeah, that's it, right? Where you can also imagine real life experiences with XR technologies. Do you like it? So welcome to the metaverse. That's it. That's the definition of the metaverse right now. And of course, you can also install art in the metaverse. And when we talk about digital art started, you guess what, maybe you know, in the 60s. So when the first computers were switched on, digital art started. And that's it. So artists are always reacting to their time, and they react to technologies.
Yeah, now our technologies have become immersive and three-dimensional. I mean, this is really historic to sit in such a beautiful dome and speak about immersive technologies and the future of even more immersive technologies. I would love to speak to Sara. Sara, as a marketer, you're always at the frontier of brands and revenue generation. Many brands have entered into Metaverse, or what is maybe the future of the Metaverse. What have you seen are opportunities and challenges that these brands face, and also how do they position themselves?
Okay, thank you so much for having me. To the audience, please bear with me. I'm awake since 3 a.m., so maybe I'm not going to have a high level of energy, but I will try my best. And thank you for the volume, really helps. But yeah, so it's a very good question. And actually, right now, as you mentioned, I'm no longer involved in the metaverse per se. I'm more involved in deepin and these type of things. But indeed, I spent the last 4 years launching NFTs, metaverse experience, on-chain games. So definitely it was good moments to learn all about this technology. And what I can say, so we launched more than 17 NFT collections with brands, and of course we had our challenge and our learnings as well. And in the metaverse, we released more than 200 experiences. I mean, when we are talking about brands such as Deloitte, McDonald's, Mercedes, among many others, and all of them completely different, all of them with different purpose and goals of why they want to enter in the metaverse. Unfortunately, I can say that most of them were generated by the hype and the need to follow others, the need to be in the headlines of the press, because the competitor is there, so I need to make sure that I also run into the metaverse and I create something cool. And for that reason, to answer your question, that is the biggest challenge, right? And the biggest obstacle of actually going or walking into the mass adoption, because while brands keep releasing these initiatives without having a long-term vision and a clear roadmap on how they are going to utilize this new universe, because it is indeed a new universe, is going to be the metaverse. I really look at the metaverse games, all of these mini games that brands are launching, as a new marketing channel, so they have to connect and interact with their audience. And so if they just release one experience and then that's it, right? It's just for a temporary period amount of time. Doesn't make sense. Not going to bring any type of value to the long-term vision of the brand itself, but also to the community that they were able to cultivate. So that's one of the biggest challenge that I see. The other challenge is also the lack of education, right? Because as you were just mentioning, the definition of the metaverse for some is like this empty universe, like full of ghosts, you know, and just avatars that are botted and just play around in the universe and no one is there. Maybe that's the case in some of the universes, we don't know. But indeed, it's much more than that. I really like your definition of the metaverse. I tend to say that for me, the metaverse is the natural evolution of the internet, because indeed, I mean, it's impossible for us to think that 10 years from now, we are all going to be like with this 2D interface and just scrolling down our feed and not actually embracing 3D technologies and just connecting with each other with a more immersive view. I think that's what the metaverse stands for. It's just for you to actually stay more closer to the other and not necessarily it's just for us to live our digital lives and just move away from each other. That's exactly the opposite. So I think it's all about the lack of education, and that's one of the main reasons all of the professionals in the Web3 space, metaverse, blockchain, you name it, I think we all have this mission of going on stage, trying to release certain research papers, whatever, because it's everyone that is working in this space, I tend to say we are writing history without knowing it. And I think it's super important to educate others, educate brands, educate the market, and just learn from it, right? Because there's not one single book that can allow you to understand, okay, how can I succeed in this world? How can I be the master of all of this? So it's all about education and embracing things with a long-term vision.
If I might just follow up here, what would you tell a Deloitte? Like, why should they enter the metaverse, or why did they enter the metaverse?
I mean, I don't know particularly if the Deloitte entered the metaverse with this purpose, but most of the brands, they enter just to follow their competitors. And we receive this over and over, these requests. I'm pretty sure you are going to say the same thing. Hey, build me a mini game because my competitors just build an amazing thing and I need to overcome what they are doing, right? The Deloitte, I think they entered with a different approach. It was more like something internal. So the onboarding, employer branding, these type of things. And I really think that's a very good way to enter the metaverse, because if you go into the metaverse for others, but you don't educate the people that you have in-house, that's one of your biggest mistakes. So if you start from the ground, that is internally, you interact with the technology, you get familiar, and then, yes, you introduce this to the rest of your company, of your friends, that is your customers or your community, actually knowing the potential and what it means.
Thank you. It seems to me, as I'm hearing everyone speaking right now, that metaverse is still lacking the kind of business or the use case behind it, but maybe we can take some learnings from the gaming industry. Here I want to ask Tung, as a seasoned entrepreneur and corporate executive, in a world in which millions of players are already home in that world using products on a daily space, you are actually the founder of what you call a lifestyle-themed, game-driven platform named Couture. And it's a fashion game. My question to you is, why did you choose fashion? Why do you think this is suitable for Web3?
So, in essence, we have not started developing or thinking about the game with the purpose, particularly addressing it to Web3. It was more because we saw a big, huge gap in the industry, that the space around fashion games has been under-innovated, underserved, and under-monetized. Just to give you kind of a couple of numbers, so we have worldwide, and that also maybe brings games into perspective of the metaverse. We have 3.5 billion people or players, so human beings playing games all over the world. 1.3 to 1.5 billion are female players, so it's a huge number. And on mobile, the portion of female players is even larger than the one of male. But the space or the kind of games are still kind of very traditional puzzle games, match-3 games, etc., but not games that bridge, let's say, from the digital world into the reality. So we saw that fashion is something that fits very well. And again, we saw that it is under-monetized, underserved, sorry. So with the perspective of Web3, I think it's not that we would address or should we be something that is going into Web3, but I think we can help bridging, let's say, the way from the metaverse where it's now, because it's only a small number that you see. So if you compare, for example, so I have run a company called Spill Games. We had 300 million monthly active users. So one user or 300 million users coming once a month into the games world of Spill. And if you regard or if you compare that with the metaverse, so the metaverse is substantially, this is a fraction of what we're seeing right now compared to the gaming world. So it's really a low portion of people using it, and I would call that so far the metaverse is an unfilled promise. It has a lot of potential, as Annette has described it, but it's not yet there, or the mass adoption is not yet there. It misses maybe the iPhone moment or the ChatGPT moment, where all of a sudden, something comes in, and brings people to the metaverse. So that has not yet happened. That's the reason why there is still a very low number in metaverse projects or products. So if you take, for example, Annette just mentioned Decentraland. I mean, you probably can greet everybody coming into Decentraland by hand, because the number is so low. Or even with Sandbox, it's also with Sandbox, they make a lot of hype, but it's a fraction of let's say, of numbers that I just mentioned if you compare it to the gaming world. I think there's a huge potential also with the products around the Apple Vision Pro, for example, where you or AR products, but it yet has to be kind of bridged, and I think, for example, if you have something like a Pokemon Go moment a couple of years ago, where you have a product that really bridges it, that people are going and trying to get into the metaverse, and it's seamlessly, it's not kind of with the hurdle where you need to have to download, we have to create maybe a wallet or something like that. So that's something where the way has to be paved, and then it's might gonna happen that the metaverse is unfolding its potential.
Yeah, some kind of usability, right? Experience and usability. And here maybe I'm asking Anton, our GameFi expert. You are an expert in bringing Web3 and gaming together. We understood why gaming is such a big market from what Tung already shared. And you have already brought that into the Web3 space. What are the Web3 mechanics that you can talk about? How did you see gaming as the bridge between mainstream and the more technical parts of Web3?
Hey all. Actually, I have some thoughts about it. So we all love games. So we all play games from the very beginning, and it's like baby steps, right? So even cats, they love games, but it's not a good example because they kill for fun. So that's why we all do our steps, our engagement with this world through gaming, because it's better, it's easier way to get some information, to educate yourself in doing some things, to get some information. And I think we should talk about gamification from this point of view. So gamification is a tool to engage the actual user, to help him to onboard into a specific product, in particular project or metaverse, let's say, and we have this tool under our hand, and from other perspective, metaverse is something so metaverse represents either real world or non-real world in a digital form, and gamification, it helps us to onboard user the right way, because I don't want to do some regular stuff after my work, right? In metaverse, I don't know, doing some stuff related to my work, or just walking around, messing around. I just want to get some additional experience. I want to be engaged, and that's why people play PlayStation or video games after their work, because they want to dive deep into different worlds to get some additional experience. And that's why, from perspective of education, like Sara said, education is the main point. We have to educate user, we have to educate player how to onboard into metaverse, because we have to engage them from the first point, and we have to lead them through all the educational material and board them as smoothly as we can. And another thing is that like blockchain technology itself can bring us additional, it can leverage our onboarding process through additional experience. Because from my perspective, I see like blockchain technology and NFT itself as a next step of gamification of metaverse, of evolving metaverse. Because like from a point when you can use different NFTs in different one NFT in different projects, it's all about collaboration. Because I don't know, I just want to, for example, be in a couple of metaverses, right? And I want to have the same avatar. And now blockchain technology, like not blockchain technology, but market, it's not allows me to do this, because when we have like NFT, we have metadata, and different metaverses, different games, they parse this data different ways. I can't use this avatar. Like, I don't know, play different metaverse, play different games. And I think the next step to evolve in mass adoption in metaverse is like partnership between different metaverse to use the same like real value assets, like digital ownership, right? To just get additional users, to
but
bridge them.
A lot of times, in gaming and blockchain, we speak about GameFi. Maybe you can explain to the audience who is not familiar with GameFi, and in particular DeFi elements of it, briefly, what are the main components of GameFi, and how do they basically bring the next evolution of gaming?
Actually, GameFi can play a bad joke with gaming, with the games itself, because as Sara mentioned before, we just was on this stage of blockchain development, of GameFi development, where just people just try to follow the market without any understanding how to build like a decent product, right? And they put this play to earn mechanics, and they just focused on them, and just add their products, just come to play the game, earn our tokens, and you will get, I don't know, some money at the end of the day. And that was the real problem, because GameFi it's all about gaming. It's a game on the first step. We should to build engaging product at the beginning, and then if you understand that we can retain player, right, during the long period of time, we can just increase his lifetime in the particular product. Only from this point we understand that our business model works, is worth it. So we can just put it onto Rails Web3, and we can add different GameFi elements, DeFi elements like staking mechanics, like, I don't know, it could be whatever you want. It also play to on mechanics, but at the beginning you have to focus on what you're delivering into the market. And if you're building a GameFi product, like it should be game itself, and then you should leverage it with different with different tools, with different options, how to move this tokenomics inside the game.
Yeah, money still rules the world, and when it comes to education, it can catalyze quite a lot of things. What I noticed about blockchain really is, when I explain blockchain to beginners, mainly people think it's a technology, but in essence, blockchain ecosystem is an economy. So basically, Web3 is the intersection of financial incentives, monetary incentives, like monetary policy in a sense, and game theory, and then technology. So many different layers of complexity that all need to be put together with the limitations of a technology, and then put thought to the next level of metaverse. It's a kind of, wow, we have a really big task to solve. So now, speaking about incentive mechanisms and in the digital art world, I would love to ask Annette, can you explain to me how did this work out, like the Web3 economic incentive systems, like the NFT marketplaces and so on that you have advised? What is there to learn?
Yeah, so maybe to remember, an NFT is a link between a digital file and a smart contract written on the blockchain, right? So we are talking about unique assets, and scarcity makes NFTs desirable. So means that easily copyably digital assets become tradable assets. Yeah, so this is the secret behind NFTs, and of course it can be used for many things. Yeah, so it's not just about assets. So NFTs are the entry for a community. It could be memberships, it could be digital identity, it can be everything, right? And when we talk about the metaverse, it's all about extension. Yeah, so the metaverse is the extension of the real world, and so also a new economic space, and especially for artists. Yeah, so it's a creative space where you can put on digital assets on the wall, and yeah, so it's a good opportunity and we have opportunities that couldn't happen before, and NFTs will change the way we use property in the internet. So it's really a revolution. But the metaverse, it's not only about economic space. It's also, if we distinguish between the different kind of metaverses, yeah. So we have the consumer metaverse where we can use NFTs, but we also have the enterprise metaverse, for example, that is used by huge companies like JP Morgan or PwC. This is very interesting as a kind of metaverse, and also the industrial metaverse, yeah, in terms of, and which is used for education, for example, yeah. So think about spatial learning, yeah. So I tried it out with kids. Perceive Rome or the history in school in the metaverse, and to be treated in the metaverse, so you can use the metaverse in therapy and health. And so there are so many things that already happen. Yeah. So of course we are at the beginning, and it's already still a big journey to be there at the end, but it happens. Yeah. So many things are happening right now, and as we said, Deloitte and every big company and every big consulting company has its own Web3 and also Metaverse and an AI department right now, and it has a reason, yeah. And at the end, the reason is money, because the prediction for the Metaverse is 30 billion in 10 years or something like that, yeah. So people building on these kind of technologies because of money at the end.
You know, where does the VR space end and where does the metaverse start? Just for my understanding.
I have the opinion everything starts in the head, yeah. Like I tried to introduce at the beginning. But the future of the metaverse, there will be no distinguishing between VR and XR. So we have with the Apple Vision Pro, maybe this is what you want to hear. It's amazing, yeah. If you have tried it out already, you don't want to put it away anymore, because you are in the room, yeah. You can perceive your colleagues as an avatar in the room and see all the things in the room. So science fiction comes true with Apple Vision Pro, and maybe this is the next device for mass adoption. We don't know yet. Of course, it's too expensive right now. It's a developer glasses. But if we look back at the beginning of the iPhone, it was also very expensive, and you can reduce hardware with the Apple Vision Pro. Yeah, so we don't need the computers anymore and have pain in the back, so we can walk around and see the world hybrid, yeah, persistent, and I love it. And at the end, maybe we end with the contact lenses. Yeah, so I'm very much looking forward.
Hopefully some that we can turn on and off as we wish. I already mentioned the beautiful thing about Web3 is its incentives, but it's also technology and infrastructure. And Sara, I would love to speak to you about the impact of decentralized technologies on the development of future development of Web3. How do properties of decentralized technologies, like low-cost microtransactions, for example, or a decentralized cloud, to be more general, affect our current state of Web3?
Yeah, thank you so much for bringing this question, because it's exactly where I am right now, right? I'm more involved into DePIN, that stands for decentralized physical infrastructures. That is nothing more, nothing less than just, in essence, like what is Web3? Right? As you mentioned, there's multiple layers when it comes to blockchain, more than just simply a technology, but it's also a state of mind, right? It's also a philosophy. It's also us being the ownership of our own things, right? It's stop with the middleman. It's for us to take full control and just stop being in this society where everyone wants to have a part of what we own. And for that reason, DeepIn is all about, like, if we are providing our data or information, why we are not receiving anything in exchange. It's also about like decentralized energy, like these big infrastructures that have all of this like centralized. And for me, while I was working in Web3, NFTs, Metaverse, all of that, I started learning more about DeepIn, and I had that feeling of like, okay, I know nothing about this, so that means I need to work in this area, because I know exactly that I'm going to evolve when I'm in a room that I don't know anything that people are mentioning. And for that reason, for me, DeepIn was like my next big thing. And I honestly believe DeepIn is going to be the chapter of Web3 that is actually going to bring cryptocurrency and blockchain to life, in a sense that now we are going to make crypto real to the industry, because now we can work with big corporations. And for instance, in my company, we are now like going against the big cloud giants, you know, and this is not an easy task, because what we are going to build is a platform that aims to create this open cloud. So not going to start with the boring terms, of course, but it's very cool because it allows like normal users, just Web3 enthusiasts, as everyone in the audience is, to just be involved in the narrative of two different companies, such as hardware providers, service providers, and every time that you manage a transaction, or every time that they secure a business, let's say, you guys are in the middle, and you guys are securing that, you are approving that, so that means that the deal is completely decentralized, because you are the ones approving, and you are also receiving in exchange. And this is ultimately the philosophy of Web3, right? Is a win-win scenario, is the co-creation, is the community, is the participation in general. And for me, this is what DeepIn actually stands for, right? It's just for us to have more control over our data, and overall also to receive in return.
Yeah, it's the manifestation or embodiment of our visions into hard and tangible products.
Yeah.
Products that we can touch with sensors and that can communicate to us. And you know, Anton, question to you is, you are the game developer, so you really have to work with these decentralized technologies. How, you know, where do you see the limitations, and where are really the cool things about it? And in general, you know, why should one even bring games on chain? When you think of it, it might be completely energy, how do you say, a waste of energy to have like on-chain games. Or is like, you know, or is it wrong to think of on-chain games and people should be thinking about blockchain games?
Yeah, it's definitely like building game on Web3. You have to do like more work for sure. Definitely, you should to think about client side, backend side, and also you should think about the blockchain, and you should think how to manage all this stuff. But it definitely has its value. But anyway, like when you just play the game, play games, you just get something, some items, some characters, or whatever you can have on a backend side, and you don't own this content actually. And the main thing here in blockchain is like the digital ownership, and also like it's from one hand, and on another hand we have like possibility option to build a real economy, because it's really cool stuff. Like games like EVE Online, for example, it's pretty huge game, and I see like the next step of evolving of this game is to just put the economy, real like working economy, on the rails of Web3, and it can give a lot of different effort, like to players to play the game, to like change economy, to play the game rules, and whatever, play clan wars, and it's really a great opportunity for game developers companies. But beforehand you have to, of course, be sure that your economy works like the right way, because any lags in it can just bring huge problems into your company, into your products, and it can ruin it at the end of the day. So blockchain is definitely cool technology. It's opened additional gates in games involvement, and it also bring us option to try different new horizons in game development. Just push boundaries a bit more, further, and try another experience. Try to achieve some additional goals and some additional challenges. So that's I think the thing in Web3 in blockchain.
Yeah, I would imagine. With when you think about Web3 and you are really a developer or a designer of any kind of thing in Web3, you actually become an economist. In order to thrive, you have to think like somebody who took finance PhD or economics PhD, because you have to think what happens when I make the incentives like this, what happens somewhere else in the ecosystem, and how will people adopt it. It's very strategic thinking, which makes me very happy, because I think all the people who enter into Web3 develop a much finer view, or much more holistic view of how the world works, how capitalism works. Tung, I hope you don't bring all your skepticism into the round now when I ask you about, the future of the metaverse. But maybe I'm asking exactly you this question because you have seen the development of the game industry, and I believe it might be one of these harbingers of how the metaverse could be. So how does your 2030 vision of metaverse look like?
Oh, it's like looking into the glass ball, to be honest. As I said earlier, the metaverse has a lot of potential, and if you go back in time and remember watching Star Trek videos, being on the holodeck, then you could imagine what could it be, But I see that, at least from being grounded, I see that there's it's a long way to go into the metaverse. 2030 is it's a couple of years away, but not so long. As I said also earlier, I think we need to have that groundbreaking moment with, let's say, the iPhone or ChatGPT that breaks it or makes it really where people realize that it can become mass, that there's mass adoption possible. But at the moment, I think it still lacks it, also with, let's say, a lot of scams in the Web3 world, but also with that people realize it's not delivering actually what it promised to be. So I see also many corporates to kind of decrease their activities in that space and shift it more towards AI, because that is something what people can really, let's say, touch, feel, in a sense of, okay, it makes it really tangible, helps them to reduce costs and automate things, for example. So it's more tangible for them. It makes more sense to work on that. And metaverse is something you need to find your position there, your space in the metaverse. And I think that is still to be seen and to be found.
Well, Annette, I'm going to give you the opportunity to comment on that, but then also I would love to wrap up this round with a question after commenting on this, on what advice would you give your 18-year-old now? Like, here we're speaking at the TUM Munich Blockchain Conference. There might be many students in here. Looking back, what advice should young people think would you have given your 18-year-old?
Try it out, like with everything in your technology. Yeah, so you cannot discuss about NFTs if you don't have a crypto wallet. You cannot discuss about the metaverse if you never tried it out. Yeah, so we don't need glasses for it. You can use, for example, Spatial as one of the metaverses and go inside, meet your colleagues and use other students, and it's much more exciting than a Zoom call. I would say.
I can attest to that. We hosted a few metaverse parties on Spatial, and it sounds maybe a bit goofy, but it's very fun to dance in an avatar and see your other friends as avatars dancing, because you're like, they would never move like that in real life. So, Sara, looking back at your career, what was a surprising catalyst, something that really propelled your career that you would not have thought of? Anything we can be aware of?
In what sense? Sorry.
Any kind of, any advice you want to give to our audience that don't overlook or don't neglect ABC?
Okay, so I would say never be afraid to be the crazy one, because among my friends, I was the only one, after university and delivering my master thesis, I was the only one going after crypto. So everyone was like, oh no, you are crazy, this is not going anywhere. Look at me now, getting more money than all of them together. Not saying that it's the right way. But yeah, what I'm trying to say is that if you believe in the industry, just learn, study, do your homework, stay curious all the time, because what is new right now in Web3, 2 weeks from now, it's old. So you really need to stay in the game, get to know new projects, be familiar with the space. And yeah, so if I will just talk to my 18 years, that's not very different from now, but I will say just take risks, and probably invest in Bitcoin.
Anton brought his little one here with the family. What are you going to tell your little one? What's the hope for the future?
You mean
what do you think they would study in school?
I hope he will. Yeah, maybe he will do something different than I do, because it's really tough way. I mean, game development and following the market, trying to bring new technologies into the market. For me, it's more important that my son, he will be happy with whatever he do in the future, and it's his life. And of course, I can just give him advice. And advice is that try to don't be afraid of something unknown, right, or something new. Be open to new challenges, because only challenges can make you stronger.
Yeah.
And can just
that's like the word of the Friday for all the frustrated ones. When you talk to your parents and think they're so mean, actually they just mean for you to be well.
Yeah.
Final word to you, Tung. I know you are a very successful fundraiser, and some of the TU Munich people here might be up for the next fundraise. Any advice for them?
You're living in a great time, and I just remember the graduation speech of Steve Jobs that he did, I think, in 2010 or 2011. No, it was maybe 2010 or 2009. And you're living in great times. I think he said, stay hungry, stay foolish, and I would add, stay curious and take chances.
All right, that's the wonderful closing to our Metaverse and gaming panel, and thank you all so much. Please give it up for all of us. Thank you, guys.